Welcome to another episode of Outside of the Box. And joining me today in the background is my child, my little daughter, that loves BattleBots and hopefully will be a builder and driver someday. And also Sarah from Nelly the Ellybot, one of the cutest robots. I was about to say cutest Pokemon. Nelly is kind of like a Pokemon, but
She could be. She could be. I mean, she's been called worse. So, that's a compliment.
it is a compliment, especially coming from me. So yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show.
She identifies as an electric type. Kraken's a water type. Matt Spurt told me this, right? I have it on Matt Spurt's say so. And also I brought my Kraken to.
I also have one.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Kraken teeth are, sorry. Shameless shout out to my good friend Matt there.
Hey, I love Kraken. I've had Matt there on the show. I know.
You don't like Kraken. There's something wrong with you, right? Who couldn't love Kraken?
Absolutely.
I don't want to meet somebody who doesn't like Kraken. We wouldn't get on.
That's true. That is true. So excited to have you on the show. It's kind of a mixed feelings day because I'm happy to have you and to talk about Nelly, but also sad because Nelly is retiring.
Yes. It's kind of, it's a bit of a coincidence really that I announced Nelly's retirement the day I'm doing a podcast as well. So great timing for you, obviously. You get all the goss. It's an unfortunate decision we've had to come to as a team. We can't afford to run a heavyweight. The cost of living crisis is biting a lot of people, and it's fairly well known in the community that I'm always broke anyway, and the cost of living has just made stuff even harder. So running a heavyweight just can't happen right now. So and then if you've given up on a heavyweight, what do you do with it? They're so big and they take up so much room, and I cannot keep relying on the goodwill of my teammate to store this ginormous thing and all the spares and whatever that go with it in his garage indefinitely. We sort of decided, guess we got to sell her because we don't have anywhere to store her really, and we can't afford to run her. So I'd like to pass her on to somebody who will enjoy her as a hammerbot. Obviously, the identity, as I've said in the post, will stay with me. And James and I are going to continue to run little featherweight Nelly in the future. So I'd like it to go to somebody who will use it as a hammerbot because it is still a perfectly good hammerbot. And it's got a whole bunch of stuff with it. I'd love it to live on as a hammerbot, just not as Nelly. So at least it'll run that way, right?
Right, exactly. I would love someone to get it and truly revive it and make it cute and awesome and deadly and all of those things would be great.
Right. It just wouldn't be Nelly. I'd love to see a nice new hammerbot come out of it or something, and it's not the kind of battle bot like the big teams spend thousands and thousands of crazy money on their robots, and Nelly is a half decent robot for the money that went into her in comparison to those kinds of big figures. So it could almost argue that it could in some ways be an accessible heavyweight for somebody to take to the live scene and get some practice in before they set their sights on something bigger like BattleBots. That would be my ideal sale. If it went to somebody who used it as a way of getting into the sport, that would make my day, because I've always tried to help get new people into the sport, so that'd mean a lot to me. But we'll see. At the same time, I need to get rid of her and try and make some money from it. So we'll see.
Yes. So yeah, with that being said, let's talk about some of the past times from we obviously haven't seen Nelly in BattleBots since 2019. But you did have some fun matches, and definitely the expression of the robot is a lot of what I want to talk about, because that's one of my favorite things about Nelly. The rainbow match, Nelly was very happy. Very, very happy, cheery expression.
So
And
happy to be here, man.
I know, right? And then Rainbow kind of dismantled her, and that was sad. That was really sad.
She was
Took out.
tasted in the face by a rainbow. That's how we describe it. That's an
Yeah,
official team description.
right, right. Yeah, I thought it was, and it like what's so funny is because I think when I've asked my daughter what, like, if she could make a robot, what would she name it, and she said something to the effect of like Sparkle Unicorn Rainbow or something. So I'm like,
All
there,
three.
that's
Go for all three. Sparkle Unicorn Rainbow. Who doesn't want a robot called Sparkle Unicorn Rainbow?
right,
I'd
exactly.
support it. Tell your daughter I'd support it.
I'm like, I guess we have to do that. That's the robot that we have to make. So yeah, so what I thought was funny about that is that I'm guessing that that was the next match, but then after Rainbow went into Deep Six, and Nelly had kind of a mad expression, with like the mad eyes, and it just that's so fun. That's what I love about a robot with eyes and with that expression
There's
is
a lot of
that.
playing you can do with that.
Right, exactly. Like you can change it from match to match, and it totally changes the vibe of like going into that. So that ended up resulting in a double KO, which is something I think that's rare to see in BattleBots.
I think, yeah, I think I'm not sure, but I think we were the first one in modern BattleBots, I think.
Oh,
Or like or like only the second or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't happen often. It's happened a couple of times since. In fact, yeah, I believe there's only like three robots. No, well, four in the double KO club. So like including Nelly and Deep Six. I'm sure I know there was one other this season. I'm trying to think who it was now. I've completely forgotten, but never mind. I know there's more than me and Deep Six in the double KO club. What a way to go out though. I mean, we took out the lights, we smashed up the floor. I mean, we might have lost, but nobody forgot that match.
right. It was a very exciting match, for sure. And especially like against Deep Six. I mean, like they have a very powerful weapon, and to be able to come out of that, in relatively good condition, I think
She's
is
still
that's a
running
win.
afterwards. It was so funny as well. I was literally just the arena cleaners went in, and I was just thinking, sorry, man, sorry. there's a lot of mess for you there to deal with. Sorry. And Dustin and I just looked at each other and just laughing. If I don't think he felt bad at all. Like even with Roboteer camaraderie, it was just like that was funny as heck. You can't
Yeah,
feel bad, and it's great telly. Like we knew, even if none of Nelly's other matches aired, that one was definitely airing. I mean,
yes.
just the build up to it on social media alone was just hilarious. Like we knew what the reaction would be when BattleBots posted the fight card that says Nelly versus Deep Six, and literally the reaction was, "Oh, Nelly's in deep which she was. They weren't wrong. But oh yeah, it was hilarious. I was all about it was so much fun. And watching the social media reaction to it was hilarious. There were a lot of Nelly memes. Um oh yeah, that was fun. It was even if we lost badly.
Right. And I mean, that's something that I think that builders and drivers that I've talked to constantly talk about is that just because you lose a match, like it's not always like, where you feel bad about it. Sometimes you can have just a really fun, great match. And even if you've lost, it's still fun,
I mean, look at Kraken versus Rotator. Like that fight was amazing, and like even though Kraken didn't win, like if I was Matt, I'd have still come out of that just feeling amazing because the battle itself was spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the next match that I really want to talk about, I mean, obviously there were the three, but there was the one that was unaired against Shell Shock, which is funny because I think Shell Shock is a bit of a Pokemon as well.
Yeah, you could definitely argue that.
And in that match, we saw what I like to refer to as Zombie Nelly. Really, really kind of had that.
That's her official name, to be fair. That was Zombie Nelly or Undead Nelly.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, I'm sad that that match was like not originally aired in the original taping because you were able to actually use the hammer in that match, and you won, like you got a knockout. So that's awesome.
Frustratingly, we were able to use the hammer in the rainbow match, but it was edited out. And it was only showed as working in like the little hero shot at the beginning of the fight. Um, in Deep Six, it wasn't working. But yeah, it was actually frustratingly, it was actually working in the rainbow fight, but a lot of people think it wasn't because it was never shown. Um, but yeah, no, it was good. We did quite a bit of damage to their shell with the hammer. Um, but I have to say I don't feel great about that win because I mean it was, you know, it was nice to go home with winners pod, right? Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, Shellshock had a lot of trouble getting into the arena in the first place. They had, I think, it's a long time ago, so my memory may be hazy, but I think they had some electrical problems or something, and our match got postponed once because they couldn't get it running. Um, and so they weren't at their best, if you know what I mean. I mean, we weren't either. We were we were our chassis was pretty beat up at the time, and if their spinner had been working as good as it could be, then that could have been even worse for us. But yeah, neither of us kind of entered the arena in our best state, and I can't help but feel like you shouldn't feel good about a win when your opponent hasn't started off in their best state in the first place, kind of thing. So, I mean, I take it as a win because I mean we weren't in an amazing state either, but we were at least reliably driving and operating our weapon because the chassis was beat up as heck, but like the internal components were all fine. So like driving reliability wasn't an issue, for example. And yeah, the shell shot, bleh, try that again. The shell shot guys had yeah, they did have some trouble. So I'm 50-50 on that win. I'll take a win, but I'm not, it's not a fag I'm gonna it's not a fight I'm going to brag about.
Yeah, and I think that I often say that sometimes. I mean, obviously a win is a win, but at the same time, it feels so much better when like, you know that you've won solidly against somebody that is operating at their best. So that's the ideal type of win. But yeah, I mean, it was still kind of cool that it happened, and Nelly got to come back from some tough fights and get that,
Yeah,
in
I
the
take that away, definitely. I mean, the fact that we got in the arena after being deep sixed was credit to the team. But like I said, fortunately, none of the internal components were damaged. I think well, the one of the lems that operates the hammer was damaged, but we had a spare, so we just swapped that in. And yeah, we were driving in and bonking fine in that match, and by comparison, their weapon definitely was having a lot of issues. And I think they were having drive issues too. So I felt like it was all a bit unfair from the start. But having said that, you see the state of the chassis. I mean, like half of like the chassis, like the armor, like wasn't even real. Like one of the side panels, like it's supposed to be like a half oval shape, right? And there was like a massive chunk missing out of it from there, and we hid it with hazard tape, so it looked like it was a complete side panel, but it wasn't. Um, we did a lot of bodging for that fight, definitely. Most of it with gaffer tape,
I mean, you use what you have to try
right?
and put things back together.
If anything, I am resourceful.
That
And I have plenty of gaffer tape.
I would say that that's probably pretty important in battle bots, especially after multiple fights.
Especially after being deep six.
Right after being deep six, exactly. Yeah, it's a pretty scary robot. They have quite a powerful weapon there. And
And now it
just
has a Shremek. I mean, like, come on. I feel almost lucky that I bought it before it had a Shremek. It wouldn't have been a double KO if they'd had that then.
right,
It'd just been
exactly.
complete curtains for Nelly.
That's so funny.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd fight them for a revenge match because, I mean, just can you imagine the social media hype for that alone? if it was announced a rematch between Nelly and Deep Six. Like, oh man, I'd go crazy. But at the same time, I would be worried because it does have a shrink neck now. I'd have to have words with Dustin. Say, look, now be nice, please. Try.
Maybe they can make a, because you have the smaller version of Nelly. Maybe they can. I don't know if maybe they have one, but maybe they can make a smaller Deep Six, just scaled down to fight baby
Name
Nelly.
it to me in the UK and go beat up your own robots together. I mean, sure, Dustin, if you're listening, send me a featherweight Deep Six. I'll make some great social media content.
I bet I would love.
It might not go your way, Dustin, but I'll do it.
Yeah,
I am known as a troll. I mean, come on.
I will make sure that they are tagged when I post this interview, so that hopefully he sees this and is like, okay, we need to make this happen. I'm all about awesome robot fighting content, no matter what it comes from. So
you've almost, in a way, got Nelly versus Huge, because Tom Brewster has a featherweight called Straddle, which is very Huge-esque. And I think it was in 2018 when we first debuted featherweight Nelly. I had a rumble with Straddle and one of Tim's novelty robots, which was called Spank the Monkey. Oh, bless Tim. So if you want to kind of get an idea of what Nelly versus Huge would look like, you can watch Nelly versus Straddle versus Spank the Monkey, because that will sort of give you an idea. It chewed up her axe mech. Actually, no, legit. Like, Huge was the only robot I feared. Like, I legit feared at BattleBots. Like, everybody kind of says, oh, like Tombstone or whoever is the scariest. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they are frightening robots, but my attitude to it was, I'm happy to throw Nelly in with any spinner, no matter how big or small. I mean, evidenced by the fact that we went against the biggest spinner of the field. So if they'd said they were going to feed me to Tombstone, or that's all right, okay, bring it on. If they'd said they were going to feed us to Huge, I would have legit needed brown trousers, because having experience of a sort of Nelly versus Huge fight, I know the damage its spinner could do to our axe mechanism in particular, which is the actually slightly expensive part of the budget robot that she is. And whenever I've been asked, like, which robot did I sort of really, really not want to go against, it's not like the likes of Tombstone or Bite Force. Like, yeah, put me in the ring with them, whatever. But like Huge, oh no. I would be scared for Nelly's poor trunk. And I don't intend to fight Straddle again on that basis. I mean, I will, obviously. If I got put in the ring with Straddle, I'd fight him, but I don't want to. Please.
As a side note too, though, it's funny because you're talking about Huge and Deep Six, but pretty soon in Champions, I've heard that they're going to fight each other, so that should really be something.
That could. I'd watch it. I wouldn't be a betting woman on that fight, but I'd watch it.
Someone's going to get destroyed, most likely. That's
yes. Yeah. Black holes may open in the arena.
Very true. So yeah, I mean, like, we hadn't seen Nelly for a while, and her time on BattleBots was brief, but remember, like memorable and rewarding, I would say.
It was cut short because, I mean, obviously we were supposed to compete in 2020. We were accepted. We had made plans to go. We'd applied for all like the visas and all that stuff. And we were raring to go for it. But COVID happened. And then in 2021, they reduced the field. I think it went down from like 80 to 60 or something. So, and that obviously means that the field of internationals is going to shrink as well, which cost a lot more to ship over. So no, we weren't accepted for for 2021 and for 2022. I mean, we didn't apply, to be honest. We're sort of umming and ahhing. Would we do it? Would we not? And the longer it went on, the more we just realized we just can't. We don't have the money to keep her, let alone somehow scrape together the money to get to BattleBots. So yeah, and you know, like the post says, the team has all sorts of commitments that unfortunately just don't work out. So without BattleBots, we can't sort of get sponsorship to help finance the robot, which would perhaps have enabled us to keep her going. But yeah, if we can't do BattleBots, then we just can't finance her. So gotta give up on the big one. But we're not giving up on Nelly in spirit. Like I said, the featherweight's gonna live on, and Nelly will live on in spirit, and the community doesn't get rid of me that easily.
Well, and so, like you are I think such an important, you know, part of the community. Like, you know, I don't know that people necessarily realize, like, you are, you know, pretty heavily involved in the BattleBots group on Facebook, and you know, like you do some stuff there, and like I think that's great, you know, to be involved in the community in some way. I mean, even that's kind of part of my idea behind starting this podcast. Like, I can't build a robot, but I know how to interview people, and I can, you know, bring more like attention and things like that to what I think is a great sport.
That's kind of how I started, because like what my initiation into robots was a live event. But obviously I'd watched it as a kid, like on Robot Wars as a kid. And then I went to Robot Wars with another team, and that was good fun. But that wasn't my robot, and I kind of wanted to strike out in the sport on my own, and went for the lower weight classes because of finances. I built a little Beetle with a friend, and then eventually James and I made a featherweight Nelly, and sort of it all kicked off from there, really. It's been such a wild ride. For that first ever drawing of Nelly until now, it's been a very wild ride, and it's weird to get off, but at the same time, it's right for our team right now. We can't commit to a heavyweight, so
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think that the pandemic affected everyone in different ways, and especially for something with combat but robotics, where there's travel involved and there's, you know, lots of live events. It's a pretty decent impact. So unfortunate, but you know,
a lot of people don't realize that the robot itself is just one of the expenses, right? You know, you've got to factor in getting a hotel, traveling to an event, feeding yourself while you're at the event, and stuff like that. But going back to what you said about me I was saying about interviewing people, was how I started. Was, of course, I did BuggleBots, and I think in a way, because I think BuggleBots, the first season aired before we debuted Featherweight Nelly. So I think you could almost argue that my bigger inauguration, I suppose, into the community was interviewing people on BuggleBots and being one of the people producing the show as well. So it's like, you know, I might not be able to build the most amazing robot, and I might be a noob, but like, you know, I just still got my place, and there's talents I can still bring. But it feels with Big Nelly being over, it does feel like a bit of an end of an era. But at the same time, I have to admit, actually, there is a sense of relief with it, because I have been sort of stressed out about deciding what to do with Nelly for months now. And so even though I don't like the decision that we've come to, it's good that we've come to a decision, because, you know, you get closure, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said at the beginning of the episode, really very mixed feelings.
Right. Relief but sad.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's the end of an era, but yeah, Nelly will live on in little form.
Yeah,
she's light up eyes now.
You know, and speaking of which, I think now that the Rusty campaign has concluded, I think that we need to have a campaign to create a little plushie Nelly with light up eyes.
plushie Nelly exists. I'm trying to think who made it now.
What?
Gosh, it was a while ago. I think it was Mr. I can check this. Hold on. Like log into the Nelly Instagram for the first time in goodness knows how long. I can't even remember how to switch accounts. Oh my gosh. Instagram's changed their layout and I don't like it. Oh, I can't work it out. I'll just look it up on the page. Sorry, this is like such a boring thing to do on your podcast. I'm sure I posted. Oh, there was a birthday cake. Here we go. I don't know if you can see this. There's a Nelly birthday cake.
It's blurry, but I can
It's
kind
it's
of
blurry
see
as that.
Nelly. I can kind of see Nelly there.
Oh, here we go. Okay, it was gifted to Mr. Psycho from one of his friends. I don't know if it's probably blurry, but
Yeah, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it.
go on the Nelly Instagram, which is Nelly Bonk. And oh, there's a Lego Nelly as well.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yeah. Oh man, I freaking love it when I get fan art. Like that's when it kind of hits you. Oh my god, I did a thing and was on TV. Like when you get fan art, and it's especially when it's kids as well. Like, oh man, that does something to me. It's so cute.
Yeah, absolutely. That is so cool. And I love all the stuff that fans do, with like the fan art and things like that. I think it's amazing. And it's a really great way to like engage, with the teams and do like just do something like that. I mean, I think that like the whole even the Rusty plush was inspired by like the crochet Rusty, Yeah, I did too. I'm like, how can I not? Like,
right? How could I not? Like, Rusty and Nelly are like internet boyfriend and girlfriend, according to the internet, anyway.
According to the internet. Awesome. Um, well, so I mean, as far as the future at this point, maybe working with the featherweight Nelly and maybe working with a slightly larger, I mean, like a small but like beetle weight or something like that. It sounds like once you have the availability to do it.
I hope to get a beetle to the UK Championships, which I think are in October. I'm not spending too much money because can't afford it. But now my teammate James has given me one of his old Catalyst models, and I'm gonna give it the purple treatment among other things, and I'm gonna run my first lifter beetle. So I've never actually operated a lifter before. My first beetle was a wedge, and then of course Nelly is a hammer robot in all of her iterations. I very, very briefly had an egg beater spinner, but it had two fights, which were both brief, and the spinner only worked for one of them. So that didn't last too long. So yeah, never done a lifter or a flipper before, so this will be fun. Its name is stupid as well. I've named it after a typo made by my other teammate Rara. We were talking about flipper robots. And she typoed the word flip and it came out as flup. And I thought, you know what, if that's not a great name for a flipper robot, well, now I'm taking over an old Catalyst model, which is a lifter, and it's going to stay a lifter, so flup it is. And I just hope that a commentator doesn't get that wrong at some point.
Yes, that would be that would certainly be an interesting thing. So yeah, well, I will go ahead and wrap things up before my child like beats me up any further.
But like she wants to wrestle.
Yeah, she is certainly trying to wrestle right now. But I so appreciate you coming on the show talking about Nelly. Nelly will never be forgotten, that is for sure.
I am not. And thanks for having me. It's been great fun.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, again, make sure that you like, subscribe, keep supporting the show so that I can keep putting out amazing BattleBots content, and we'll see you next time.